Hi, I'm Troy from Studio 33 Guitar Lessons. The video you're about to watch is an excerpt from one of our courses called the Kickstarter series. Kickstarter is a multi-level course designed for beginner all the way to intermediate and advanced. If you like this video, you can get the full course at our website, studio33guitarlessons.com. Also, make sure you click the like button and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching. Now that we know the A major chord, let's go ahead and look at some of the variations of it. The A sus4 chord and the A sus2 chord. So let's start with our A major chord. So let's get our 3 fingers into position for the regular A major chord. Now, as we learned earlier with the D sus chord, D sus4 means that we're changing the 3rd note of the chord and we're raising it up to a 4. So for the A major chord, the 3rd we learned is the C sharp note, which is being held down by the ring finger. So the ring finger is on the B string, 2nd fret, which is a C sharp note. So to change that to a sus4 chord, all we're going to do is raise that note up 1 fret. So if you remember from the D sus4 and the C sus4, that's all we did was raise that 3rd note up 1 fret. And that's the case with any chord. Once you know which notes in the chord are the 1, 3, and 5, then you can easily make any chord into a sus chord. So for the A chord, that ring finger note is our 3rd note. We're going to raise that up to a 4. So all we're going to do is use our pinky finger and put it down on the next fret. So we have our A major chord like this, and then to make an A sus4 chord, we're just simply going to put our pinky finger down, and that's going to sound like this. So we have our regular A major, pinky finger down, makes it an A sus4. So that was the reason that I said that that fingering for the A major chord is going to be more useful for you than that one alternate way I showed you where it has the index finger up here. Because now to make that A sus4 chord, you would have to slide your pinky finger over. So a little bit harder to do. If we have these fingers down like this, then all we have to do is just put that pinky finger down, and we can also easily just lift it back off to resolve back down to the A major chord. So we can also apply that same strumming pattern, a real common one, down, down, up, down, up. And we can alternate between the A major chord and the A sus4 chord. Down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, up. So let's look at how we would make an A sus2 chord, or just simply an A2 chord. A2 means that we're going to take that 3rd note of the chord and we're going to lower it down to a 2. So if we think back again to A major, our 2 of an A major scale would be B. Back to our scale, A, B, C sharp, D, E, etc. So the 2nd note of the A major scale is a B. So we want to change our 3rd note down to a B. So again, the 3rd note is that ring finger. So to lower that down to a B, all we have to do is remove it from that string because that's a B string. So it's very convenient. Then that B string can just ring open and that'll give us an A sus2 or A2 chord. So what we're left with is just these 2 fingers in that position. So the A2 chord would sound like this, which is actually a really nice sounding chord. An A2 chord can oftentimes be substituted for an A major chord. A lot of times when I'm playing an A chord, if the chord chart calls for an A major, I will quite often play an A2 chord instead. Partially because it's simply easier to play because we're only putting 2 fingers down instead of trying to cram 3 together. And the other reason is I actually prefer the sound of the A2 chord over the A major chord. I find that it sounds a little bit more modern. It's similar to how the C add 9 chord sounds a little bit more modern than the C major chord. So again, A2 chord, the A major chord, and A2. So A2 is a little bit more open and airy because you have more open strings ringing. Just gives it a nicer, full, modern sound. So when you change from an A2 chord to a D chord, it becomes a little bit trickier because your ring finger is not down anymore to make that slide up for the D chord. So if we look at the A2 chord, when we switch to the D chord, all the fingers have to come off and then back down again. Makes it a little bit more challenging. But again, we want to try and get the fingers in position in order from when they're going to be picked to the last. So from the A2 chord, the first finger that we want to get moved is our index finger. And all we're going to do is simply move that index finger down 1 string. And now we're in the right spot for the D major chord. Then we're going to take our ring finger and place it down into position, and then finally the middle finger down. So practice that move. A2, fingers lightly off, and index finger down, just one string down. It's a real small movement. 1 string down, ring finger gets plugged in, and then your middle finger down. So practice that move over and over again. When switching back from D major to A2, it's a little bit easier. So we're going to move the index finger first, and all we're going to do is simply move that up 1 string. So we're staying on the same fret, just moving up 1 string. So again, it's a really small movement. Don't overshoot it and jump way up here. Just move a small amount, 1 string. Once that index finger is in, the middle finger goes in right below it. So you may need to shuffle your index finger back a little bit in order to fit that in there. And then once that finger's in, the ring finger just simply lifts off. And then you have your A2 chord. So let's look at that again. D major. To go to A2, all we're going to do, index finger up 1 string, middle finger comes up 2 strings, ring finger comes off, and we have A2. So good to practice that over and over again, just like we do with the other chords, back and forth from A2 to D and back again, over and over again until you're comfortable with it. Now there's also an alternate way to play the A sus4 chord. So initially I showed you the A major chord, and then to make the A sus4 chord, we're simply putting our pinky finger down. And you can also play those same notes by starting with the A2 chord, and then putting your ring finger down in order to make the A sus4 chord. Now the reason that that would be an advantage is because then that note that your ring finger is on happens to be the same note that we use for D major. And then of course also the same note for C add 9 and G. So it can become very useful to use that finger whenever you can. So if we look at starting with a D major chord, if our chord chart said to play a D major and then go to an A sus4, if we were to do the original fingering that I showed you, we would lift off all of our fingers, go back to an A major, and then put our pinky finger down for the A sus4. Now that's a lot of movement, and that's going to slow you down. So if we use this alternate fingering, it'll make things a little bit easier for us, because then from the D major chord to go to the A sus4, all we're going to do is the same fingering that we would use for an A2. So we start moving our index finger, goes up 1, our middle finger goes up 2, and then the ring finger just simply stays where it is. And then you have the A sus4 chord. So sometimes when you have alternate fingerings for chords, different fingerings can be advantageous for you depending on what chord you're coming from or going to. So sometimes we'll play certain chords one way, and then we may play them with a slightly different fingering on a different song because it depends on what's going to work better for what chord you're coming from or what chord you're going to next. A good example of this change would be in the song Free Fallin'. Now I showed you the chord progression earlier that was similar to that. D major, D sus4, and then sus4 back to D major to D2. The actual song goes to an A sus4 instead of the D2. So it actually should sound like this. So you can see how that movement becomes fairly simple. So ring finger just stays, and these two fingers just move up. The index finger is one string, the middle finger is two strings. So it's a good idea as you're learning these chords, if I give you some variations on how to place your fingers, it's good to try them out and keep them in the back of your mind and know that you can use them if they're better when changing from one chord to another. If it makes things easier, then that's a good way to do it.